What's up, everybody? This is your boy, StephenMotivate. I'm back again, and we want to talk today about, are you saving enough money? We're going to get into that in just a second, but first I want to thank you for joining back in with us. Hopefully you're getting involved in a community, you're checking out our shorts, checking out some of the things we have on our Instagram, on our TikTok. Please leave comments, leave your feedback. We're super excited to get to know what's on your mind as we talk about the entrepreneurship journey. I'm super excited again about some things we have coming down the pipeline in the future. And I definitely want to tell you that and tell you more about that. But first, I want to thank today's sponsor. Hey, this episode was sponsored by Diamond Shine Cleaner. You can check out their products at diamondshinecleaner.com. They have really great products to help you clean more effectively and efficiently. So if you want to check out those products, please do. Again, go to diamondshinecleaner.com, or you can find them at your local Lowe's or on Lowe's.com, also on Amazon.com. Luckily, if you're part of our community, Diamond Shine Cleaner has provided me with a coupon code for you to use to get 10% off any of its products on its website. Use the code THEJOURNEY and receive 10% off any of those products. We'll have all the information down in the show notes below. Again, thank you to our sponsor, diamondshinecleaner.com. I'm a little frustrated. I'm a little disgusted at, America, I guess. Like, I don't know what it is about us with spending money, but we get really crazy. And especially, even when we don't have money, we spend money like crazy. But, the theme or the topic of today's show is really about ex-NFL star Antonio Brown. If you haven't heard in the news, Antonio Brown is filing bankruptcy. He apparently is now bankrupt after having made over $88 million in earnings. That's before taxes, of course. But $88 million. And I think the guy's in his mid-30s, right? Super talented, one of the most talented NFL players that, is at least in our lifetime that we'll probably ever see. Super talented guy. Got paid a lot of money for that. But he now is allegedly bankrupt. Allegedly, he's got about $50,000 in assets. At least this is what's on the paperwork. And he owes about $3 million to 8 different creditors, 8 different people. I don't know if it's 8 different credit cards, 8 different companies. Who knows? But apparently he owes $3 million and he only has $50,000. Something's wrong with that picture. The guy made $88 million minus taxes, probably let's call it $50 million. Still, that's $50 million over the course of his career. He's in his mid-30s, and now he's filing bankrupt. And I'm not here to bash Antonio Brown. I don't know enough about him. I don't know enough about his personal situation. I don't know enough about how he got to this point. I could surmise that, okay, maybe Antonio Brown had a rough upbringing. Maybe no one ever taught him about money. Maybe there are people in his camp taking advantage of him. There's a number of different things that could cause a guy that's made that much money to go bankrupt. What I do know is that Americans in general, we don't save enough of our money. And not saving enough money is kind of like just the first basic thing. Truly, we don't manage our money in a way that really sets us up for reality. We focus on the right now. If I've got $500 in my pocket right now and I see something that I want to buy for $500, I think I can afford it because I have $500 now. And so the way we approach money, at least what it seems like in this country, we focus really on the short term, and not many of us, in fact, at least half of us, don't think long term. In 2022, the Federal Reserve did a study that says only 50% of families are saving for retirement. They're thinking about, okay, at some point, I'm not going to be able to work the way I can work now. Our bodies age. We get older. You might be able to, lift 100 pounds now, but in 30, 40 years, you may not be able to lift 100 pounds. You may be able to sit at a desk and computer for 8 hours all week, every week now, but 30 years from now, you may not be able to do that. And you have to always think about, when I'm not able to generate money the way I can generate it now, what do I do? Will I still need money? Absolutely. You'll still need money 30 years from now, whether you realize that or not. You'll still need to purchase things. You'll still need to purchase things to eat. You'll still need to travel. You'll still need to have shelter. But 50% of Americans aren't thinking about the long term. They aren't thinking about anything but what's happening right now. And that's really, really concerning, really, really sad. We talk about the entrepreneurship journey. And while we want to help as many people as possible make good decisions on that journey, you're really working against yourself if you don't figure out early how to handle money. We think about NBA and NFL players, and that's really the dream, right? AB was a millionaire in that moment. In those moments when he got those contracts, he was a millionaire. And that's all of our dream. At least that's, it feels like the American dream. Let's become millionaires. But if you become a millionaire and you don't know how to handle money, it's probably the worst thing that can happen to you. What would seem like the most celebrated, the most envied thing in the world could actually be the worst thing, almost like a death sentence. And why? Because if you're not emotionally healthy, if you're not mentally healthy, if you're not spiritually healthy, having $1 million is like putting a kid inside of a candy store with no supervision, because you don't understand that, candy tastes good, but it may not be good for me. Having a lot of money seems good, but it may not be good for me if I'm still struggling with my emotional health, if I'm still struggling with my mental health, if I'm still struggling with my spiritual health, if I don't have relational intelligence, if I don't know how to control my temper. So there's a funny correlation here. We all want money. We all want to be millionaires or successful in our thing. But if you're not first the person that you need to be, having more money, having more ability to purchase and make decisions and influence things with dollars can actually hurt you. Kanye West had a song that says, "No much man should have all that power." And you should not have the power that $1 million can bring if you do not know how to handle yourself. And so the correlation is you have to be the person you want to be before you get the money you want to get. If you do it opposite of that, if you get the money before becoming the person, you risk ruining yourself and those around you. And, money is a magnifier. So people say that money changes people. Oh, he got money and he changed. No. Well, hopefully, yes, the money does help you change, maybe, if you know how to handle it right. But more than it changing you, it's really just magnifies you. It's really like a magnifying glass. If you have money, if you have little money, what you do with that little money, it will be similar to what you do with a lot of money. So if you have $1 and you just waste $1, then if you have $100 million, there's going to be a tendency for you to waste $100 million as well, because it just magnifies you. It doesn't really change you. It just really exposes who you are. And if you have a bad temper with $20, what do you think is going to happen when you have $20 million? Is all of a sudden you don't have a bad temper anymore? Is it all of a sudden that when you get angry at something and you're throwing things and you're hurting people and you're spewing out things that maybe you don't even mean, does that all of a sudden go away when you have $20 million? No, it magnifies. It actually probably gets worse. If I have $20 million and I can do whatever I want to do, I'll throw, if I don't like what someone who's working with me is doing, I'll get out of here, or I'll throw things, or I'll be upset, or I'll yell at them, or I'll degrade them. And, none of those things are productive. They're not conducive. They're not helpful. And so the first point I want to make is that you have to be focused more so. And I think there are a lot of good sources out there that can teach you how to do this, but you have to be the person you need to be before you try to have the things you want to have. Be the person you want to be before you try to have the things you want to have. Seems like our society is so focused on having the things and having them now that we forget that there's a person that we need to be. If you, a successful person typically has a routine, has some habits, has some nice rituals or things that they consistently do. Successful people really find a way to have good habits and they avoid bad habits. But if you haven't figured out a way to improve your habits and you're only focused on the money, when you get the money, those bad habits are still going to be there. If you get the money and you don't improve your habits, you're working against yourself. It's like self-sabotage. To have money and not know what to do with it is self-sabotage. So we've got to, in America, instead of being so focused on the right now and, I've got to go get some money and I've got to, start my entrepreneurship thing. Don't think that it's a waste of time to learn who you are emotionally, what trauma you might have. Don't think it's a waste of time to connect with a pastor or a church to figure out what your spiritual health is like. We can't take any of this stuff with us when we go. You don't get to pack up the cameras and the microphone when you die. They don't put that in your casket. So where does your spiritual health like? Like, what are you really working for? These are the things I don't know if anyone ever had these talks with Antonio Brown. I don't know if anyone's ever had these talks with you, but these are the conversations that are so important. And we seem to put making money on a pedestal. We look up to people that make a lot of money. Oh, that's really cool. Oh, I can buy shiny objects. I can have nice jewelry. I can put on fancy clothes. That's all well and fine. But if you're not the person you need to be, you're going to make the wrong decisions. So be the person you need to be first before you get the money that you want to have. And that'll bode very well for you. So back to the savings. So very practically, are you saving enough money? Are you saving enough money for a time in your life that's no doubt going to come where you're not going to make as much money as you can make now? Right? We're all getting older. Your prime earning years are probably your early 30s through your probably mid 50s. At that time, you're probably making more money than you've ever made. You probably even have more levels to jump to. So if you're younger, you still got a lot of time to make money. If you're older, you probably don't have as much time to make money. But either way, the sooner you start saving money, and investing, saving and investing, saving and investing, you will be better suited to live comfortably in the future because you made those good decisions now to not spend everything right now. If you think about the statistic I brought up earlier, that there are 50% of folks not saving for retirement, that means there are 50% of people that are just living in the right now. 50% of people that probably won't have enough money to leave their family or even pay for their own funeral. That's going to be somebody else's burden. Every dollar you get, and I talk about this when I talk about you need to learn the basics. There are people that will say that a 401k is not a great investment vehicle. There are people that will say budgets aren't super important. I even say that at times. I'm not even a big fan of budgets. So there are people that will say these things, including me in some cases. Budgeting, saving, doing the basic things like just paying yourself is going to reap huge benefits for you in the long term. Every dollar you get, you need to take 10 to 20% of that and put it away. You need to take that money and either put it in a savings account, a high yield savings account. I mean, at the very minimum, put it in any savings account just to get started. Then you can graduate to a high yield savings account. Then you can graduate to investing in stock. There are different steps you can take in the future. But at the very bare minimum, take out of every dollar you get. I'm not saying give it to the church or give it to your auntie or give it away as a gift. I'm saying actually pay yourself. Save it for you. Take that dollar, 10 to 20% of it. So that means 10 cents to 20 cents out of every dollar. So if you have $10, you need to at least take a $1 or $2 and choose not to spend that. When you get your paycheck, whatever you get after taxes or however it comes out, you need to take 10 to 20% of that and put it away somewhere and forget about it. You're never going to, that money is now a seed that you're planting in the ground to produce more money. You're never going to spend it. It's not for you to spend. It's only for you to save or invest. And I know that jostles some feathers because all of us we're so used to spending money. It's like, oh, when I get money, I get it so I can spend it. I get it so I can go, to the movies or to a show or go out to eat somewhere nice. And that's fine. You should do all those things, but not before you take 10 to 20% of that and sock it away. And if you're on a job that has a 401k, and I talk about this, you should be maxing out your 401k. If you're younger, in your 20s, this is the perfect time to max out your 401k. If you don't have a job that gives you a 401k, you can set up your own individual retirement plan. And this is all to say you're saving for the future. And it's not just that. You're learning how to manage and really utilize money in the right way. If someone were to ask you, how are you with money? What would be your response? Would you automatically be like, I'm good with money. I know that I pay myself first. I know that I save at least 10 to 20% of every dollar that comes in. Every dollar that comes in. Automatic. If you're doing that, then that's a good answer. If you're not, then there's work to be done. Many of us are not saving enough money. Over half of us are not saving enough money. And whether we realize it or not, we're not here forever. So when you're 50, 60, 70, let's say you break your leg tomorrow, and that totally changes the way you can participate in the economy. Have you saved enough money? Are you saving enough money for you, for your family? Or are you, spending as frivolously as we as Americans tend to spend? And I wanted to give you this statistic. So if this is the average balance of 401ks by age group. So if you're between 25 to 34, your average 401k balance is like probably less than $25,000. If you're less than 25, your 401k balance is basically zero typically. If you're between 35 to 44, you have a less than 100,000 in your 401k. If you're less than 54 years of age, you usually have less than 200,000 in your 401k. If you're less than 64 years of age, you usually have just a little over 250,000. And then most people that are 65 years or older have a little less than 300,000 in their 401k. So let's just say that most people make between 50 to 100,000 a year. So if you have less than 300,000, 50,000 of that is going to get, you got basically 6 years of earnings after you can't really work anymore. Say you're 65, you're retired, you got about 6 years of being able to live comfortably. But by the time you hit 71, that's it. You don't have enough to keep living the way you were living because you didn't save enough. Or let's say you make 6 figures a year. You only have 3 years to live the same way you're typically used to living. If you're the average person that's 65 years or older, getting ready to retire, and you only have $300,000. 6 figures, that if you're just making $100,000 a year, that would get spent up in 3 years. Especially if you've been spending so frivolously that you don't even recognize that you don't even have enough money set aside in your retirement. That probably means, what are you doing with that money? You're spending it. And once you get in the habit of spending money, it becomes just that, a habit. So it's like, yeah, I get money and I spend it. And you don't even think about the fact that you're not putting anything away. And so the likelihood that you'll be able to have a comfortable life past 65 is very low. You have to be saving. You have to be saving. You will not be able to work forever. And here's the big thing. You're going to waste more money every week on silly things. $5 on Starbucks, $40 on Uber Eats, $200 at a restaurant, $40 to go to the movies. You can easily, on a weekly basis, blow between $100 to $200, which, if you start saving, if you start maxing out your 401k, if you start taking 10 to 20% of every dollar you own and putting it away into a high yield savings account or putting it into the stock market, you might say, I don't know how to do those things. If you don't know how to do those things, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you. But the truth of the matter is, if you're not doing those things, you're going to regret it. And it doesn't matter how much money you make, whether you've made $88 million or if you made $880. If you don't know what to do with a little bit, you won't know what to do with much, right? The Bible says if you're faithful over a few things, you become ruler over many things. You gotta know how to work with the small things over the few things. You gotta know how to take that $100 you're getting from that side gig or that hustle, and you gotta know how to put some of that away. You can't buy your kids everything they want. You can't, there's this big thing weeks back about what sort of date do you take a girl out on, and is going to the Cheesecake Factory okay? It's like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay to go to McDonald's if you have to. It's okay to get some food at the grocery store and cook it yourself. Well, I don't know how to cook. Well, figure out. You have to learn these things. It will only benefit you. It will only benefit you. So I admonish you, don't do what Anthony Brown did. this is and he's just an example for many of us. So let's not like point the finger at him like, and okay, we're not him, but let's not act like we all aren't irresponsible with our money. At least over half of us are. And even those who are saving aren't saving enough based on the numbers I just went through. So the 2 points I want you to take away is, number one, be the right type of person, because money is just a magnifier. If you aren't the right type of person with $10, you're not going to be the right type of person with $10 million. And the right type of person is someone who's actively trying to improve their emotional health, their mental health, their spiritual health. There's trauma that we all have been through. Maybe you only seen your mother or your parents spend frivolously. Maybe no one in your family has ever talked to you about saving and how important it is to put a little away. And maybe no one's talked to you about, if you're not there, maybe you're a person that does save, but you don't know how to get to that next step of how to invest and that sort of thing. And we all have things we have to overcome in our past. But no matter how much money we get, if we're not the right type of person, if we're not committed to improving ourselves, we won't do the right things with the money. And then in a very practical way, my second point is just save. Every dollar you get, 10 to 20% of it should be socked away somewhere. I have started to do this after a millionaire gave me this advice, probably back in 2015, so almost 10 years ago. A millionaire told me, hey, you need to be saving money. You need to be maxing out your 401k. I started to do this, and I can tell you I'm way ahead of the average right now. And it's not because I've got 1,000 businesses. Yeah, that helps. That's another thing. But it's more so because I've decided to just save 10 to 20% of every dollar. Before I had all the businesses, I decided to start being the right type of person, the type of person that thinks about their future enough to save 10 to 20% of every dollar. And I'm glad that someone gave me that advice. So I hope this advice helps you the way it helped me. I'm forever grateful. I know my family's going to be all right. I know I'm going to be all right because I'm saving enough money. Don't wait until it's too late to save. If you enjoyed this episode, please, I only ask you to do one thing. Share it with somebody else. There's so many people that aren't saving enough money. Tell your mom, tell your pa, tell your friend down in Arkansas. Send this, share it, like this video. And then if you like our content, if you want to be a part of our community, please subscribe, leave your comments, leave your feedback. Tell us what your saving journey is like. Tell us, the things that you want to hear about. We want to help you, and we'd love for you to be a part of this community. So please like, subscribe, share. We certainly appreciate it. Until next time, stay motivated. Peace.